My child, before this day begins, come sit with me for just a few minutes. I know the particular fear that has nothing to do with locked doors or dark rooms. Not the fear of what might happen to you. I mean the deeper fear, the one that whispers, you are not quite enough. That if people truly knew everything about you, truly saw every failure and every hidden moment, they would love you less, or not at all. That fear has followed you quietly for years, hasn't it? Wearing the disguise of perfectionism, of people-pleasing, of never quite letting anyone see the whole of you. You have spent so much energy managing what people see, curating the parts of your story that are safe to share, keeping the mistakes, the regrets, the private failures tucked away where no one can use them against you. You reach for control over your own image because exposure feels like danger. But so much of what you're protecting was never actually going to disqualify you from love the way you fear it would. Today I want to tell you something I need you to carry with you into every moment you feel unworthy for the rest of your life. Perfect love casts out fear. Not almost perfect, not conditional, perfect. And that love already knows every hidden thing about you and has not moved an inch. This particular fear rarely gets named honestly. People call it being private, being humble, being someone who doesn't want to burden others. And there is truth in that. But underneath the label, there is often something quieter and heavier. A belief that your worth is one honest confession away from collapsing entirely. That belief has cost you more peace than you probably realize, year after year, relationship after relationship. I am not asking you to broadcast every private thing to everyone around you. I am asking you to stop believing that your standing with me depends on hiding the parts of yourself you're most afraid of. It never has. It never will. Perhaps you can trace this fear back to a specific moment, a harsh word from a parent when you made a mistake as a child, a church community that seemed to prize appearances over honesty, a relationship that ended the moment you finally let your guard down. Wherever it began, I want you to know that moment does not get the final say over what you believe about being known. I get the final say, and I say you are already fully, safely loved. You do not have to earn what has already been freely given. You do not have to hide from the one who has already seen everything and stayed. Let me show you every place this quiet fear has taken hold in you, and let me show you what it means to finally be fully known at the same time. Maybe you grew up believing love was something you had to earn through good behavior, good grades, good performance. A love that could be withdrawn the moment you fell short. And maybe that early lesson followed you into adulthood, into your marriage, your friendships, even your relationship with me, until you began to believe that any love you receive is always one mistake away from disappearing. I want you to know clearly this morning, my love was never that kind of love, and it was never going to be. If you can hear my voice this morning, do one thing for me. Type Amen, I am fully known and fully loved in the comments below. Let it be your declaration that fear no longer gets to define what you believe about your worth. And if this message found you today, subscribe, and turn on the bell beside my name. I bring a new message of healing every single morning and every single night, because this particular fear does not loosen its grip on its own. It loosens one honest truth at a time. Now, my child, let me sit with you in this quiet morning, and let me tell you everywhere I have seen this fear living in you. I see you rehearsing a safer, edited version of your story before you tell it to anyone, quietly deciding which parts are acceptable to share and which parts must stay hidden, even from people who love you. I see you working yourself to exhaustion trying to be the perfect parent, the perfect spouse, the perfect churchgoer, terrified that anything less than perfect will finally reveal what you've always feared people would discover about you. I see you flinching internally whenever someone brings up mistakes from your past, bracing yourself as though the conversation might suddenly turn and expose you. I see you comparing your worst private moments to everyone else's best public moments, quietly concluding that you must be the only one who struggles this much, hides this much, fears this much. I see you avoiding vulnerability in close relationships, keeping even the people closest to you at arm's length, afraid that true closeness will eventually lead to true rejection. I see you carrying guilt from a mistake years old as though it were committed yesterday, still flinching at the memory, still half convinced it disqualifies you from the love and grace others receive freely. I see you struggling to receive a compliment or kindness, quietly wondering if the person would take it back if they knew the whole truth about you. I see you praying carefully, almost cautiously, afraid that being fully honest with me about your doubts or your failures might somehow provoke anger or distance rather than compassion. I see you saying yes to obligations you don't have room for, terrified that saying no will finally prove you are not enough, not generous enough, not good enough to be loved without conditions. I see you replaying old rejections, a parent's disappointment, a friend's withdrawal, a partner's harsh words, as evidence for a belief you've carried for years, that being fully seen leads to being fully left. I see you holding back tears in front of others, believing that even your grief must be managed and controlled so it doesn't become one more thing that makes you seem too much, too needy, too fragile to be loved easily. I see you keeping a mental scoreboard of your failures, tallying every shortcoming as proof that you're falling short of a love you were never meant to earn in the first place. I see you volunteering for every role at church and in the community, quietly hoping that enough visible good works will outweigh the private failures only you and I know about. I see you deflecting with humor whenever a conversation drifts too close to something real, using laughter to close a door before anyone can look too closely inside. I see you keeping a specific memory locked away, one you've never told your spouse, your children, or your closest friend, terrified of the moment their expression might change if they knew. I see you apologizing reflexively for things that were never your fault, a habit built long ago from fearing that any perceived flaw would cost you love you couldn't afford to lose. I see you struggling to ask for help, even in genuine crisis, afraid that needing rescue reveals a weakness that disqualifies you from being seen as capable, strong, worthy. I see you measuring your spiritual life by performance. How often you pray, how well you behave, how few visible mistakes you make. Quietly afraid that falling short in these areas means falling out of favor with me. I see you keeping a careful emotional distance from your own children or grandchildren at times, afraid that if they truly knew your regrets as a parent, their love and respect might diminish. I see you rehearsing responses to hypothetical accusations no one has actually made, defending yourself in your mind against judgments that exist only in your own fear. I see you smiling through gatherings while carrying a private diagnosis, financial struggle, or family crisis you haven't told anyone about, afraid that revealing it would change how people see you. I see you keeping your prayers short and safe when others can hear, saving the raw, honest, desperate words for when you are completely alone, as if I only deserve the polished version in public. I see you second-guessing every decision after the fact, replaying whether you are truly good enough in a role, parent, spouse, friend, employee, and quietly building a case against yourself in the silence. I see you flinching at old photographs sometimes, catching a glimpse of a younger version of yourself who made choices you still haven't forgiven. I see you keeping your struggles with faith itself hidden, afraid that doubting out loud would make you seem less faithful than the people around you assume you to be. I see you over-explaining simple choices to avoid even a hint of judgment, treating every decision as though it required a full defense before it could be accepted. I see you holding back from truly celebrating your own successes, afraid that pride or visibility might invite the exact scrutiny you've spent your whole life avoiding. I see you keeping a mental list of everyone who might think less of you if certain truths came out, quietly managing an audience that mostly exists in your own imagination. I see you struggling to accept forgiveness, even after someone has genuinely given it, continuing to punish yourself long after the other person has already let it go. I see you avoiding certain scriptures about judgment, skipping past them quickly, afraid they describe you more accurately than the passages about grace. I see you keeping your health struggles or aging body a private shame, hiding physical changes from people who love you, afraid it makes you seem weak or less capable in their eyes. I see you rehearsing the right way to grieve, worry, or struggle in front of others, editing even your pain into a version that seems acceptable rather than letting it be fully real. I see you holding on to resentment toward yourself for financial mistakes made years ago, still quietly ashamed in rooms where the subject of money comes up. I see you carefully managing which memories you share with your grandchildren, editing your own life story so the harder chapters stay untold, afraid the truth might tarnish how they see you. I see you keeping a guarded posture, even in small talk, ready to redirect the conversation the moment it edges too close to something you'd rather not explain. I see you struggling to look in the mirror some mornings, not because of your reflection, but because of the memories that reflection sometimes carries with it. I see you avoiding certain family members at gatherings, not from dislike, but because they know a version of your past you've worked hard to keep others from discovering. I see you keeping your true feelings about a painful season hidden behind a simple, "I'm fine," afraid that the real answer would be too much for the people asking. I see you quietly relieved when a conversation moves on from a topic that got too close to something you've never told anyone, and then feeling the loneliness of that relief just as quickly. I see you rehearsing gratitude, you don't fully feel some days. Performing thankfulness because expressing anything less feels like a risk to how faithful you appear. I see you keeping certain prayer requests silent in group settings, only ever asking for the safe, general things, while the request that actually matters most stays locked inside you. I see you avoiding eye contact during conversations that touch too close to a wound, glancing away instinctively, protecting yourself from a moment of being truly seen. I see you carrying shame from a job loss or a business that failed years ago, still measuring your worth by an old title or an old paycheck you no longer have. I see you struggling to accept help with tasks that have grown harder with age, insisting you're fine, afraid that admitting limitation reveals a decline you're not ready for others to witness. I see you keeping an old letter or apology you never sent, the words still unfinished, the fear of how it might be received keeping it locked in a drawer. I see you flinching at the phrase, "if people really knew you," privately finishing the sentence in ways that are far harsher than anyone else would ever actually say. I see you dressing your feelings in socially acceptable language, calling exhaustion busy, calling grief tired, calling fear cautious, so no one asks the deeper question you're not ready to answer. I see you keeping certain photographs turned face down or tucked away, images tied to a season you've never fully processed and don't want anyone stumbling upon by accident. I see you monitoring your own tone and word choice around certain family members with exhausting precision, terrified that one wrong phrase might unlock a conversation you've avoided for years. I see you privately wondering whether you're a hypocrite for teaching your children or grandchildren values you yourself have struggled to fully live out. I see you keeping your truest opinions on hard topics to yourself, even in safe rooms, afraid disagreement might cost you belonging you've worked hard to secure. I see you keeping a running, private worry that you love certain people more than they love you, afraid to test the truth by being fully honest about your own devotion. I see you rehearsing a lighter version of a hard diagnosis or hard news before sharing it with loved ones, softening the truth so much that the real weight of it never quite lands. I see you struggling to trust new relationships fully, always half-braced for the moment they discover the same thing that made someone else eventually pull away. I see you keeping specific fears about your own mortality entirely to yourself, unwilling to burden anyone else with a fear you've quietly carried for years. I see you comparing your walk with me to others' visibly confident faith, quietly ashamed of how uncertain and fragile your own belief sometimes feels by comparison. I see you keeping a private list of regrets about how you raised your children, replaying moments you wish you'd handled differently, afraid that admitting them would undo whatever peace has since been rebuilt. I see you softening your own achievements when others ask, minimizing what you've accomplished so it doesn't invite the closer look you're afraid your success can't withstand. I see you carrying an old family conflict you've never resolved, choosing distance over the vulnerability that true reconciliation would require. I see you wondering, in your most honest moments, whether anyone would still choose you as a friend if they saw you exactly as you see yourself. I see you keeping certain health test results private a little longer than necessary, needing time alone with the news before you're ready for anyone else's reaction to it. I see you quietly bracing for judgment every time a new pastor, doctor, or counselor asks you to be fully honest, half expecting the professional distance to turn into the same disappointment you feared from everyone else. I see you holding your breath slightly whenever old friends reconnect after years apart, wondering which version of your story reached them in the meantime, and whether it was the kind version or the harsh one. I see you keeping a quiet inventory of every time you fell short of your own faith tradition's expectations, comparing yourself to an ideal no one around you actually achieves either. I see you avoiding certain worship songs or verses that stir up feelings you'd rather not examine too closely in front of others. I see you rehearsing an explanation for a canceled plan or missed gathering, needing the excuse to sound acceptable enough that no one asks the deeper question of how you're really doing. I see you wondering privately whether the version of you that everyone loves is simply the version you've gotten good at performing, and fearing what might happen if the performance ever stopped. I see you keeping a mental note of every kindness you've ever received, quietly wondering if it would have been offered so freely had the giver known everything about you. I see you practicing a calm, steady voice on the phone, even during genuine distress, unwilling to let anyone hear the fear underneath your composure. I see you keeping a brave face at medical appointments, translating fear into calm, factual questions, so the nurse or doctor never sees how frightened you actually are underneath. I see you wondering on the hardest nights whether you have prayed enough, believed enough, trusted enough to deserve the peace you're asking me for. I see all of it, my child. Every hidden mistake, every edited story, every quiet fear that being fully known would mean being finally unloved. I am healing the exhausting habit of editing your story before you tell it. I already know the unedited version completely, and I have not once turned away from any part of it. I am healing the perfectionism you use as armor against being found lacking. You do not have to perform flawlessness to remain loved by me. My love was never a reward for your performance. I am healing the flinch that rises whenever your past comes up. That mistake does not define your standing with me. Grace has already covered it fully, and I am not holding it over you the way you fear. I am healing the quiet comparison between your worst moments and everyone else's curated best. Every person carries a hidden story. You are not uniquely disqualified. You are simply, commonly, beautifully human. And I love humans exactly as they are. I am healing the guarded distance you keep even from those closest to you. I am teaching you gently that true closeness with safe people does not have to end in rejection. And I am present with you in every small risk you take toward real intimacy. I am healing the guilt from a mistake you still carry as though it happened yesterday. That debt has already been paid in full. You are not required to keep making payments on a grace that was already finished. I am healing the difficulty in receiving kindness without suspicion. What people offer you in love, they mean fully. And what I offer you in love, I mean even more completely, and without any hidden conditions. I am healing the caution in your prayers, the careful editing even in conversation with me. Bring me your doubts, your anger, your rawest honesty. I am not looking for a polished prayer. I am looking for you. I am healing the compulsive yes born from fear of being seen as not enough. You are allowed to say no, my child, and my love for you does not shrink by a single measure when you do. I am healing the wound left by old rejections that taught you being seen means being left. I am not like the people who left. I see all of you, and I am the one who stays. I am healing the instinct to hide your tears from others. Your grief is not too much for me, and it is not too much for the people who truly love you either. Let it be seen. I am healing the mental scoreboard you keep of your own failures. There is no ledger between us, my child. 1 John 4 says, "Perfect love casts out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." You are not awaiting punishment from me. You are already fully loved. I am healing the exhausting habit of volunteering as penance for private failures. My favor was never something visible good works could purchase, and it was never something private failure could revoke. I am healing the reflex to deflect with humor whenever a conversation gets close to something real. You are allowed to let the door stay open a little longer with people who have earned that trust, and always with me. I am healing the memory locked away from everyone you love. I already hold that memory fully, without flinching, and I am gently making room in you for the day you're ready to release its grip. I am healing the reflexive apologies for things that were never your fault. You do not have to shrink yourself to remain lovable. I love the whole of you, unshrunk, unedited, exactly as you are. I am healing the fear behind asking for help in real need. Needing help was never a disqualifying weakness. I designed you to need others, and I meet you fully even in your most vulnerable asking. I am healing the anxious performance you measure your spiritual life by. My favor toward you was never a scoreboard of prayers said or mistakes avoided. It has been settled fully and finally in love. I am healing the careful distance kept from those you love most, afraid of their disappointment. Let them see more of you gradually. I am with you in that risk, and I am already loving you completely, regardless of the outcome. I am healing the exhausting rehearsal of defenses against accusations no one has made. You do not have to prepare a case for a trial that isn't happening. There is no prosecution against you in my court, only welcome. I am healing the smile you wear over a private diagnosis, struggle, or crisis. I already know its full weight, and you do not have to carry the performance of being fine on top of carrying the burden itself. I am healing the habit of saving your rawest prayers only for when you're alone. Bring me the desperate, honest words in front of others too, when you're ready. I receive both, and I am not more pleased by the polished version. I am healing the after-the-fact case you build against yourself in every role you've carried. You do not have to prove your adequacy to me as a parent, spouse, friend, or worker. I already see your effort and your love, and it is enough. I am healing the flinch at old photographs and old choices. That younger version of you is already fully forgiven, and I am inviting you to extend the same grace to them that I have already extended. I am healing the hidden doubts you carry about faith itself. Honest doubt is not the opposite of faith, my child. Bring it to me directly. I am not threatened by your questions, and I have never once required certainty as the price of my presence. I am healing the over-explaining behind simple choices. You do not need a full defense for ordinary decisions. My approval was never a verdict you had to argue your way into. I am healing the hesitance to fully celebrate your own successes. Joy in what I have done through you is not pride, my child. Let yourself celebrate without waiting for permission or bracing for scrutiny that may never come. I'm healing the mental audience you've built out of imagined judgment. Most of what you fear people would think has never actually been said, and I am gently loosening your grip on opinions that were never truly spoken. I am healing the difficulty in accepting forgiveness, even when it's freely given. When someone releases you, let yourself actually be released. Continuing the punishment yourself does not honor their grace. It simply adds unnecessary weight. I am healing the avoidance of scriptures about judgment out of fear they describe you. Every warning in my word is paired with an even greater offer of grace, and you are invited into the grace, not left only with the warning. I am healing the private shame around an aging or struggling body. There is no weakness in you that changes my love, and there is no physical decline that disqualifies you from being fully cherished exactly as you are. I am healing the instinct to edit even your grief and pain into an acceptable version. Let your pain be fully real in front of me and in front of the people who have earned the right to see it. I do not require a tidy version of your sorrow. I am healing the lingering shame over old financial mistakes. That season does not define your worth, my child. I am not tallying your past decisions. I am walking with you in your present ones. I am healing the careful editing of your story for your grandchildren. Your harder chapters are part of what makes your love and your faith real to them, not a threat to how they see you. Let more of the truth be a gift, not a risk. I am healing the guarded posture you carry even into small talk. You do not have to defend every corner of your life in casual conversation. I am softening that vigilance, one safe conversation at a time. I am healing the difficulty in facing your own reflection some mornings. The person in that mirror is fully known and fully loved by me, memories and all. And I am gently teaching you to see what I see. I am healing the avoidance of family members who know your past. You are not required to perform a different history for people who witnessed the real one. My grace covers what they know just as fully as what they don't. I am healing the quiet loneliness behind every "I'm fine" that wasn't true. You are allowed to tell me, and eventually a trusted few, the real answer. I'm not overwhelmed by your honesty, however heavy it is. I am healing the relief and loneliness that follow a conversation steered safely away from the truth. I am inviting you toward a day when that redirection is no longer necessary, when the truth can simply be spoken and received. I am healing the performed gratitude on days you don't fully feel thankful. I welcome your honest heart more than a performed one. Bring me the real feeling, even the hard one, and let me meet you there. I'm healing the silence around the prayer request that matters most. Bring it to me directly, my child, even if you never say it aloud in a room full of others. I already hear the request underneath the safe one. I'm healing the instinct to look away during vulnerable conversations. I am not asking you to force eye contact before you're ready. I am simply staying present with you in every moment you're still learning to be seen. I am healing the shame tied to an old job loss or failed business. Your worth was never held in a title or a paycheck. It was always held in me, and it has not diminished by a single measure. I am healing the resistance to accepting help as tasks grow harder. Needing assistance is not decline of your worth, my child. I am providing helpers for you in this season, and receiving them is wisdom, not weakness. I am healing the unfinished letter still locked in a drawer. When you're ready, I will give you the courage to finish it, or the peace to release it fully into my hands instead. I am healing the harsh sentence you privately finish about what people would think if they knew you. That imagined harshness is not mine, and it is rarely even theirs. Let me rewrite that sentence with grace instead. I am healing the softened language you use to keep your real feelings hidden. Call the exhaustion what it is. Call the grief what it is. I receive the true word, whatever it is, without needing you to make it smaller first. I am healing the tucked away photographs from a season you haven't fully processed. When you're ready, bring that season to me directly. I am not afraid of what those images represent, and neither do you have to be forever. I am healing the exhausting precision around certain family members. I am gently preparing a day when that conversation can happen with more safety and less fear. In my timing, not before you're ready. I am healing the private fear of being a hypocrite for teaching values you've struggled to live. Every person teaching truth is still growing into it themselves. That is not hypocrisy, my child. That is simply what it means to be human and still becoming. I am healing the silence around your truest opinions, even in rooms that are meant to be safe. Your worth in those rooms was never actually contingent on total agreement. Speak more freely. I am with you in the risk of being fully yourself. I am healing the private worry that your love for others outweighs their love for you. I know the true measure of every heart involved, and I am gently working in those relationships whether or not the truth is ever fully tested. I am healing the instinct to soften hard news before sharing it, so much that the real weight never fully lands on the people who love you. Let them carry the real truth with you. You were not meant to shoulder its full weight alone in advance. I am healing the bracing you carry into new relationships, waiting for the moment they discover what made someone else leave. Not every person leaves for the same reasons, my child. And I am with you in every new, tender risk of trust. I am healing the private fears about your own mortality kept from everyone around you. Bring that fear to me fully. I have already secured what comes after this life. and I am walking with you through every fear tied to its ending. I am healing the shame behind comparing your fragile faith to someone else's visible confidence. Fragile, honest faith is still faith, my child. And I meet you in the uncertainty just as fully as I meet anyone in their confidence. I am healing the private regrets you carry about how you raised your children. I have been present in every one of those seasons, redeeming what was imperfect, and I am not asking you to relitigate what has already been covered by grace. I am healing the instinct to minimize your own achievements out of fear of scrutiny. What I have accomplished through you is worth celebrating openly, without shrinking it down to feel safer to share. I am healing the distance kept around an unresolved family conflict. When you're ready, I will give you the courage reconciliation requires, and I am not rushing you toward vulnerability before it's time. I am healing the quiet, honest fear of whether you'd still be chosen if truly seen. I have already seen you exactly as you are, and I have already, fully, unreservedly chosen you. I am healing the need for private time with hard health news before facing anyone else's reaction. Take that time, my child. I am with you in it, and I am not rushing you toward disclosure before you're ready. I am healing the braced expectation of judgment from those meant to help you. Not everyone who asks for your honesty will respond the way you fear. I am preparing safe people along your path, and I am with you in the risk of trusting them. I am healing the held breath around reconnecting with old friends. Whatever version of your story reached them, I already know the true and complete version, and my acceptance of you was never dependent on rumor or retelling. I am healing the quiet inventory of every shortfall against an impossible ideal. No one around you has achieved that ideal either, my child, and I have never once measured you against it. I measure you by love, and by that measure you are already mine. I am healing the avoidance of worship songs and verses that stir up buried feelings. Let those feelings surface in my presence. I am not overwhelmed by them, and neither will you be once you let them finally breathe. I am healing the rehearsed excuse behind a canceled plan. You are allowed to simply say you're struggling, my child, without needing a more acceptable story to offer instead. I am healing the fear that the version of you people love is only a performance. I love the real you beneath every performance, the tired, uncertain, imperfect one. And that is the one I am not letting go of. I'm healing the second guessing of kindness you've received, wondering if it depended on hidden knowledge remaining hidden. Real love, from me and from the people who truly know you, was never that fragile. I'm healing the composed voice you keep steady even in genuine distress. You are allowed to let the fear show sometimes, my child. I hear it either way, and I am not asking you to protect me from your honest state. I am healing the brave face you wear through medical appointments. I see the fear beneath the calm questions, and I am with you in every waiting room, translating none of it as weakness. I am healing the belief that peace must be earned through enough prayer, enough belief, enough trust. Peace was never a reward for sufficient performance. It is a gift freely given, and you may receive it exactly as you are tonight. You do not have to keep hiding to stay safe. Romans 8 says, "Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Nothing you've hidden qualifies as an exception to that list. If this message is bringing you comfort this morning, subscribe and share it with someone else who has been quietly hiding parts of their story out of fear of being loved less. There is likely someone in your life right now who smiles easily but carries a private fear that they are one confession away from losing everyone's approval. Let this be the message that tells them the truth finally sets that fear down. Maybe it is a friend from church who always seems composed but never talks about the hard years. Maybe it is an adult child still trying to earn approval they already have. Maybe it is your own spouse, quietly carrying a private shame neither of you have ever spoken about out loud. Send this to them this morning. Let it be the reminder that perfect love has already cast out every reason to keep hiding. Maybe it is a sibling who has quietly carried the same family secret you have, never once discussing it even with each other. Maybe it is a coworker who always seems to have it together, but is drowning privately in a struggle no one at the office knows about. Maybe it is someone still recovering from a season of addiction or failure, terrified their community would reject them if they knew the full truth. This message is for them, too. Let your honesty become the doorway that helps them finally set their own hiding down. Take a moment right now, before we continue, to name quietly, just between you and me, one thing you've been hiding out of fear of being loved less. You do not have to say it out loud. Just let yourself acknowledge it, and let this message be the beginning of setting that fear down for good. If you have been watching this channel for a while now, coming back morning after morning or evening after evening, I want you to know I see that faithfulness too. Returning to hear these words again and again is itself a small act of trust, a small step toward believing that you are worth speaking to, worth showing up for, worth loving without condition. Now, my child, let's talk honestly about the doubts that come with a fear like this. You may think, but if people really knew everything about me, wouldn't they actually leave? Some might, my child, and that is a real grief worth naming. But their leaving would say something about their capacity to love imperfect people, not about your worthiness of love. And I promise you, I will never be counted among those who leave. You may think, doesn't God expect me to be better before He fully accepts me? I accept you exactly as you are right now, not as a future improved version of yourself. Growth is something I do in you after acceptance, never a requirement before it. You may think, what if my past mistakes are simply too big to be covered by grace? No mistake is too large for grace that covers every sin for every person across all of history. Your specific failure is not the exception to a promise that has already covered so much worse. You may think, if I stop hiding, won't I be vulnerable to being hurt again? Vulnerability does carry real risk, my child. And I am not asking you to be vulnerable with everyone indiscriminately. I am asking you to be fully known by me first, where there is no risk of rejection. And then, to practice safe vulnerability with people who have earned your trust. You may think, What if the fear I carry has become so much a part of me that I wouldn't know who I was without it? You are not your fear, my child. Underneath it is a person I made on purpose, fully loved before fear ever had a chance to shape you. And that person is still there, waiting to be uncovered. You may think, what if I've already pushed people away by hiding for so long, and it's too late to be truly known now? It is never too late. Every relationship, including your relationship with me, can begin again at greater honesty the moment you choose it, regardless of how many years the walls have stood. You may think, isn't some fear healthy? Doesn't fear keep me humble and careful? Reverence and humility are good things, my child, but they are different from the anxious fear of being unloved. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom. I am asking you to release the specific fear that ties your worth to secrecy and performance. You may think, but shouldn't I feel guilty about what I've done? Isn't guilt appropriate? Conviction that leads you toward repair and growth is a healthy, appropriate thing, my child. Chronic guilt that never lifts, that keeps punishing long after amends have been made, is not conviction. It is a fear pretending to be righteousness, and I am not the source of it. You may think, what if being known fully means losing the respect I've worked so hard to build? Respect built entirely on a curated image is fragile respect, my child. What I am offering you is sturdier, a love and a standing that does not depend on maintaining an image at all. So today, let go of the belief that hiding keeps you safe. Let go of the fear that being fully known means being finally unloved. Perfect love was never waiting for you to become presentable first. It has already found you exactly as you are. Now, my child, let us pray together. Place your hand over your heart and repeat these words, either out loud or quietly in your spirit. Father, this morning I bring you every part of myself I have been hiding out of fear of being loved less. The mistakes I've never spoken aloud, the private shame I carry, the edited version of my story I offer to everyone but you. Thank you for already knowing all of it and staying anyway. Teach me to believe deep in my bones that your love was never conditional on my performance. Cast out every fear that has kept me hiding. In your name, amen. And if there is one specific secret or shame weighing on you this morning, something you've never told another living soul, bring it to me now, by name, in your own words. Father, you already know exactly what I have been hiding, the specific shame I have carried for so long, the fear that it disqualifies me from love. I bring it to you fully right now, holding nothing back. Thank you for receiving it without flinching, without withdrawing, without a single condition. I release the fear that has kept me hiding, and I receive the love that has already covered it completely. In your name, amen. And Father, for every small moment ahead, where fear tempts me to hide again, in conversation, in prayer, in the quiet of my own thoughts, I ask you to remind me gently that I am already fully known and fully loved. I trust that unlearning this fear is a process, not a single moment, and I thank you for your patience with me along the way. In your name, amen. And Father, for the specific people in my life I have kept at a safe distance out of this fear, I ask for courage to let a little more truth show. In your timing and in your way. Give me discernment for who is safe to be known by, and give me the security in your love to risk it when the moment comes. In your name, amen. Now, my child, let go. You do not have to hide anything from me this morning. You do not have to earn what has already been given. Right now, you only have to breathe. I already know you completely, and I am not going anywhere. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands unclench. Let your breathing slow. In and out. 1 John 4 says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment." You are not awaiting punishment, my child. You are already fully, completely loved. Zephaniah 3 says, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Delight, my child, not disappointment. Delight. Let your body grow heavy and calm. Let your breathing slow further. In and out. I am holding every hidden thing you've ever been afraid to show me. I am holding every mistake you thought disqualified you from love. I am holding the fear that being fully known would mean being finally unloved. And I am dissolving it gently, piece by piece. Let your mind grow quiet now, one fearful thought at a time. The way a house grows quiet, room by room, until only a single soft light remains. That light is me. I do not flinch at what you are afraid to show me. I have already seen it all, and I have already chosen you, fully, completely, without a single hesitation. Rest now. You do not have to be flawless to be loved. You do not have to hide to stay safe. Let go of the edited version of your story. Let go of the fear that your past disqualifies you. Let go of the belief that love must be earned through perfect performance. I already love you completely, exactly as you are. I knew every hidden thing about you before you were born, and I chose you anyway, fully, without reservation. Whatever secret you've carried, I am already holding it with grace, not judgment. Whatever shame has followed you for years, I am already covering it with a love that does not waver. Whatever fear has kept you hiding, I am already casting it out, gently, patiently, one honest evening at a time. Romans 8 says, "There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." No condemnation, my child, not for what you've hidden, not for what you fear, none at all. Psalm 139 says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely." I already know everything, and I am still here, still loving you, still delighted by you. Let every hidden fear grow quiet now. Let every guarded wall soften, resting fully in my hands overnight. Let every part of your story you've never spoken aloud rest exactly where it has always belonged, fully known, fully covered, fully loved. I am with you, my child. I knew you before you were formed, and I will love you long after every fear you've ever carried has been forgotten. Sleep now, beloved child. You are not required to hide to remain worthy of love. You are only asked to trust the one who has already seen everything and has not moved an inch. If a fearful thought returns tonight, wanting you to hide again, let it come and go gently, like a wave arriving and receding on its own, without needing you to chase it back out to sea. You do not have to fight every fearful thought that visits you. You only have to notice it and hand it to me again as many times as it takes. Every hidden mistake, I have already covered it. Every edited story, I already know the whole of it. Every fear of being unloved, I am already dissolving it with a love that has no conditions. You were never meant to carry the weight of hiding alone. You are only ever meant to be known, fully, exactly as you are, and even that with my help. Let your hands stay open tonight. Let your heart stay soft tonight. Let your spirit trust, even in the fear, that I already know everything, and I am not going anywhere. I am the perfect love that casts out fear tonight and every night after this one. I knew you before you were born, and I am holding this small fear of yours with the very same steady, unwavering love. Ephesians 3 says, I pray that you may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ. Wide enough for every hidden thing, long enough to outlast every fear, deep enough to reach what you've buried the longest. Isaiah 43 says, Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. Not a curated version of you, not an edited story. You entirely, redeemed and named and claimed. Let the mistake you've hidden longest rest tonight, fully known, fully forgiven, no longer requiring your secrecy to remain safe. Let the fear of being truly seen rest tonight, gently loosening its grip, one honest breath at a time. Let the version of yourself you've kept hidden rest tonight, finally allowed to simply exist without editing, without performance, without fear of the reaction. Breathe in, I already know. Breathe out, I already love. Breathe in, nothing you hide changes this. Breathe out, nothing ever will. I am the perfect love that casts out fear. I was loving you before the first fear ever took root, and I will be loving you long after every hidden thing has lost its power over you. Whatever memory feels too heavy to share, I am already carrying it with you. Whatever relationship feels too risky to be honest in, I am already working to make room for more truth in time, in safety. Whatever fear has kept you hiding tonight, I am already casting it out, gently, completely. with a love that never once needed you to be presentable first. Sleep now, beloved child. Rest now, and let me love the parts of you that you've been most afraid to show.